Hey Jacob, hey everybody else.
Hey everybody else. Hey Todd. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. I hope everybody else is doing good too today. um, but yeah, what did you do today, Jacob?
So today I helped my brother. We went to the city hall to do like an Eagle Scout project that he's doing. Then I took a test, did some homework. Been quite an interesting day actually. So
Sounds like a pretty good day.
what about you?
Uh, Today was all right. It's kind of different. With not a whole lot of stuff going on, I just kind of stayed home. I accomplished a few things, but not much. It was hard to get in the groove of things. I do better when I have to physically go places to accomplish stuff. So it was a bit of a challenge, but um, yeah, adjusting to life right now. So it's
Yeah, I feel that.
all good. Hopefully, all you guys are doing good out there too. Hopefully, today's been good. Life's adjusting well with all of the quarantining and everything else that's happening. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I guess we all kind of in this together, just learning to adjust.
Exactly. I don't know. It'll be good. It'll be good. Teach
Yeah.
us a lesson, right?
Yep. Be a lot of good things that we can learn from it. But the good news is we got some good stuff to cover today. Today, Jacob and I read an article called Physical Activity and the Prevention of Depression. I guess it wasn't actually an article, it was a study done. And so we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that study today. It was a really good study. I enjoyed it. What did you think about it, Jacob?
I thought it was fabulous. I loved like all the research that they did into it, to study like all the different 30 studies, and then the synopsis that they gave at the end. I mean, they did a really good job like accumulating all this information into something that's pretty easy to read and very informational actually.
Yeah, I was extremely impressed as well when we read through it. In fact, we'll make sure we put a link to the study that was done in the video and in the description below so that if you guys want to go over the study, you can find it as well because it's a really great study and they go into a lot of detail. But I think one of the first things looking at it that I really liked about this study was right from the beginning, they start with a line that says, were reviewing what they reviewed was and examined was to see how physical activity is protective against an onset of depression. And I think that's something really good to kind of take note of is the key there with protective against depression. We'll look at exactly how much physical activity really does affect depression, but one of the big takeaways at the end of this is that physical activity really does help protect and prevent some depression. Now, once again, that's some, not all. We understand that some depression is uh, biological and just unavoidable because of certain circumstances. But there's many forms of depression and that all of us feel and experience that we can change and make better in our lives.
Right. Yeah, I kind of, it's interesting to see how something so small like physical activity can have such a huge impact on preventing some of the not biological but more of the other like the other side of depression that we don't always think about, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think what's cool too about all of this is like sometimes we think, oh crap, we got to be physically active, and of course, like that's always the answer to a lot of things when in regards to health. And we think, well, that means I got to like come up with a really extensive workout plan or something like that. But when looking at this, you don't have to have that great of a physical activity plan necessarily. You definitely have to count for regular physical activity, but I mean, you don't have to set up a intense workout or anything that completely changes your lifestyle.
Right. Yeah, like they even talk about some of the physical activity that they recorded, and some of it was just like going on a walk or going on a small run. It wasn't something major like going and lifting weights for an hour. It was just something small that had a huge impact. which I thought was really cool because I feel like a lot of us struggle to make huge impacts in our lives, but we can easily do small steps. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think that's really good news too for like the community that's struggling with depression already, because I know it's really hard when you're in just uh, kind of stuck in the rut when you got depression. It's hard to act. It's hard to go do a lot of things. And so I think that's really good news to hear, just that you just got to do some simple things. Start with simple things, and it will lead to bigger things, and it will really help. But before I think we get more into kind of that area, though, it's probably good just for everybody who won't actually get time to read over and look at the study, just to be able to break it down a little bit. Jacob mentioned earlier, they did cover 30 studies in this. And these studies covered a wide range of things. It was quite interesting. They were pulling sources from all sorts of different databases, including Medline, Embase, PubMed, PsycInfo, Sports Discuss, and a few others. All some pretty big databases. And those were all just the original sources of the original studies that they looked at. But then they laid out that through these 30 studies, they examined, if I remember correctly, about 20 of them, or maybe it's 21, were both male and female, looking at how physical activity affected both male and female. And then there were 4 or 5 that were directly for female related, and 4 or 5 that were directly male related.
Yeah. And then, like, out of those 30, 25 of them support the fact that physical activity does help prevent depression. And they're
Yeah.
like physical evidences of that.
Yeah, and that's a really big percentage, especially when you looked at too. I think it was towards the end of it, in the future research area, or maybe it was right before. They were talking about that the 5 or so that don't necessarily support it came back with null results. So it wasn't not
Right.
no results, but null results. They just weren't sure. And the things they were taking in consideration was the fact that some of their measurements weren't the most precise, weren't the most accurate and easy to measure. And as a result, they weren't 100% sure. But they did still lean towards that fact. So the fact that I think 25 out of the 30 says, yes, this really does affect you, and the other 5 were like, we're not sure. It's not even hard evidence that's a no. We're not sure.
That's a huge statistic proving that physical activity is really good for us.
Yeah.
So I guess to get more into the discussion of the article, a lot of what they studied was the different types of physical activity that a person would do, and they would measure like the intensity, they would measure the length, and the different things that you can do with just exercising, and how that would affect your mental well-being. And what they found was that even like exercising for 120 minutes a week has almost a 6 to 17% increase on your mental well-being than not doing anything at all. And that's a pretty big deal. I mean, 6 to 17% may seem small, but I mean, out of 100 people, that helps out a lot of people right there.
Yeah. And it's, I think, well, I'm still a little bit confused. I'll have to admit on that 6 to 7%, or 6 to 17%, was it specifically talking about like the number of individuals that it helps, or like that's how much their depression level decreased?
So it says right here, against depression of up to 6% to 70% respectively. I guess a better context. Let me another high quality study concluded that even walking at an average pace of greater than 20 minutes per day and less than 40 minutes a day was protective against depression of up to 6% and 17% respectively. So I guess what it's stating there is if you walk 20%, or if you walk 20 minutes a day, you are 6% more likely to protect yourself from depression.
Yeah. I think I think a good takeaway from that too is just the fact that the more, to some extent at least, the more physical activity you do, the more you are going to help yourself there. I mean, it's 6% was related to the less than 20 minutes, which is showing that, hey, even less than 20 minutes, you're going to have an impact on yourself. But if you can get over 40 minutes of just walking, I mean, that's not a whole lot. 40 minutes a week of,
Right.
or it was, oh, sorry, a day. That one's a day, but still 40 minutes a day of walking, which still isn't very much, can increase it up to 17%. That's really saying a lot. I mean, I know I can walk quite a bit in a day, but I definitely easily hit 40 minutes a day, usually walking between just places that I got to go. And so I think
Right.
just making sure that you set your day up in a way where you have to actually go from place to place physically and make the effort to walk some really has a big difference. And I know, just relating that to my own life, I can see that back when, before all this happened, one of the days of the week, my classes wouldn't start till later in the day. And sometimes I wouldn't get myself up and going in the morning, and I'd just be dragging, be really slow, and just really wasn't feeling very good. But once I'd finally get myself out of bed and say, okay, I got to go make it to my first class now, and I'd get walking to class and like get moving, it was like I noticed the more I was moving, suddenly I was like, you know what, I feel a little bit better. And then pretty soon I was get to a point where I was like, hey, you know what, today's going to be okay. I know this morning just felt like crap, but like today's going to be all right. So I can definitely see, just in my own life, and I'm sure many other people can, that this really is applicable.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just that initial step for a lot of us. You know what I mean? You just got to get up and do it. It's that starting point that's really tough.
Yeah.
It's always tough to go from nothing to something, but once you get to that something, it's pretty easy to stay steady at it.
Oh yeah. And I think two really good things that can help people who are struggling, like, yeah, but I can't really get that first step by myself. I think two things that really help is get yourself involved in things, like for me, it was classes that I had to go to, but get yourself involved in something where you have to show up. And so that encourages you and kind of forces you to take that first step. But then the second thing is to just get somebody else involved. I know growing up, like I used to love to go play basketball with my dad in the morning, but we'd go at 5 in the morning, and I wouldn't wake up at 5 in the morning by myself. Like there was no way. But just the fact that my dad would come in and wake me up was enough motivation to get me up out of bed and go. Even though every morning that we went, I was just completely dead, and it took me a little bit before I was like, okay, I'm okay with this.
Right. No, I agree because like even I was starting to do exercise with friends, and it was a lot easier to go exercise with somebody else than it is to just do it by yourself. You know, it's like you have a commitment. You make a commitment with somebody, and now you have to do it. You know what I mean? You can't let them down.
Yeah. Yeah, because you feel like it seems that like oftentimes both parties are like, I don't really want to do this, but like you feel like you're letting the other person's down so much that you're like, I have to go do it. And it's interesting, but it's a really good thing.
Yeah, no.
I think
Make
something,
commitments.
yeah, make
Gotta make a
commitments.
commitment with yourself or with somebody else. That's how to do it.
Yeah. Something else in this when I was looking at it, which will potentially lead to another article that we'll have to look at sometime when we do this. They talked about how BMI and SES, which I'm not actually sure what SES is, and that was one thing I didn't get to look up. I forgot. I just spaced actually looking that up. I'm going to look that up real quick right now, what SES stands for. But they said that BMI and SES, which is Oh, okay. It's your socioeconomic status. Um, but they said that your BMI and socioeconomic status play are linked quite closely. It seems to be, or it seems at least at this point when they did this study, to depression. And so, obviously, if you're at a higher or lower, really low BMI, that's something you want to take in account of. I personally don't I don't really prescribe to the fact that like, oh, just because you look fat, you need to lose weight, or just because you look skinny, you're healthy. I don't think that's really how you should be looking at your life. But um, I do think that there are certain measurements in the health field, like BMI, for example, they give a good gauge. They're not necessarily 100% accurate, but they give you a good gauge of just saying, okay, am I kind of in a healthy range? Am I not? You know, and there are areas on that BMI scale that you can still be in a healthy and okay range where you still look maybe not quite how everybody else would assume to be healthy, but that's totally okay. And so I guess that's not really the focus of it, but it's really just to know that those are things to take into account. If you're on the extreme one end or the other of the BMI scale, you may be a little more at risk with depression, and just working to get yourself more in the middle could be a really good thing to help you as well to be able to overcome your depression.
Right. I think it's kind of that balance thing, you know? You have to keep your life balanced in all situations, whether that be health, whether that be social activities, work, food. You have to keep that balance. And we just have to figure out what that balance is right for all of us. And I feel like that is one of the best ways for us to help prevent and to be happy, I guess, to find that balance in life.
Yeah. Looking at this, I'm not not I don't really feel that there's much else that I personally care to go over right now. I mean, there's a lot else that other people you can. We definitely recommend looking up the study. Once again, it's called Physical Activity and the Prevention of Depression: A Systematic Review of Prospective Studies. Um, we recommend you go look it up. We'll have it linked in below so that you guys can find it. Because there is more. There's a lot more stuff in the study, but I think that kind of gives a good overview of it. Jacob, do you have anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I think that's all. I, like you said, Todd, I highly recommend reading it and studying it because it has some really good information. So,
Yeah. Um, but on that note, we want to switch over to our other segment of this, which we love to do, which is the good news. Looking for the good. Because with everything else that's going on in life right now, obviously it's really easy to look on the negative side. And we know even with depression and some anxiety that it can be easy to look for the negative in your life. But we want to try to focus on some of the good things that are happening around us. Um, and so, yeah, with that, I think Jacob, you can take it away. What recently has happened in your life, nationally or in the world, that you found was good?
mine's more of a personal thing, but I feel like it applies to a lot of people. A lot of the universities, a lot of the schools have shut down because of the coronavirus. But one of my professors sent an email out earlier today, and he said the following. I'm going to read it because he explained it really well. He says, I want to leave you with the thought that every challenge also brings an opportunity. You have the unique challenge of suddenly becoming a full time, self directed learner. However, perhaps you can see through this experience that all learning is really self directed. If you take the challenge and opportunity upon yourself, you will be able to come through this experience with a better education than you otherwise would not or would have had. Um, I think he summed it up really well right there. I think a lot of times, especially me included, as a college student, think, oh, I'm just going to go to school, get an education, and then go work for the rest of my life. But something that I am starting to learn is that an education is something that you get through the rest of your life. It's something that starts when you're young and doesn't end until you die. You know, it's something that we need to continually be learning, continually be gaining more education, more knowledge, and it is dependent upon us. It's not dependent on you, Todd, to learn for me, or my mother, my father, my brothers, sisters. It's on me. I need to continually learn. I need to become a better person, and I feel like this is a great opportunity for me to actually learn how to study and how to learn on myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's really cool. Like, obviously, there is a lot of crap happening, but I think one of the good things that comes out of it is you maybe a little quicker. English, it's hard. More quickly, more quickly or easier, slightly easily. Wow, I'm struggling. um, can recognize or not really recognize, but be able to gain that trait of being able to learn on yourself, because that is, or learn by yourself, not on yourself. Wow. Suddenly my English just left.
I mean, I sit on myself and I learn. How else do you do it?
Yeah, I just fold my sit on my hands and suddenly the knowledge just drains from my feet to no. Yeah, no, I think that's good though. Like, obviously a lot of crap's happening right now, but it's an opportunity to gain some really good traits and some really good things that can benefit all of us individually if we'll look after, or if we'll look for it and we'll try to implement it. So I think that's really good. I know for me, my kind of the good news that I found, it was more nationally, and it comes from, I found this on MSN, but so it's just simply put, the headline of the article was "Restaurant Regular Stun Staff by Tipping $9,400 to Help with Coronavirus." Um, and then when I read the article, I guess apparently this guy, he was a regular customer. Him and his family were a regular customer at this restaurant down in Texas, and he just grown to have a great relationship with the people who ran the restaurant and just absolutely loved going there. And I guess they just really formed a good connection. But obviously, with everything that's going on economically, a lot of people are going to be struggling, and restaurants especially. And so this guy was in an economic position that he could provide a large tip like that will hopefully help keep some people employed for a little bit longer, and will hopefully keep the restaurant in good position for a little bit longer. But I just think that's super cool. Obviously not all of us are in that economic position to be able to do something quite that big, but I do think there are lots of ways with whatever we have that we can serve the people around us. And it's obviously he didn't go to every single restaurant. He's not keeping every single restaurant in business, but he is helping a few people, and those few people, just helping a few people can make all the difference, I think.
Yeah. See, I think that's really cool. We have to use what we have. He has the financial ability to support this restaurant, and he's not, like you said, he's not helping everybody in the world. He's helping only a select few. But even we, in our own situation, can find what we have an abundance of. We all have an abundance of something, whether that be finance, whether that be knowledge, whether that be kindness, or whether that be service. I feel like we can all find a few people to serve each and every day that can really, I guess make the world go round, I guess, is what they used to say back in the old days. I haven't heard that phrase in a long time. But
wow, you old folk. Hey, boomer. Better watch out. Coronavirus is going to get you.
I know, I got it. freak. Well, I knew I should have stayed quarantined.
Yeah, no, I think it's cool. And I definitely do. You know, I keep thinking about it because the thought goes through my mind. You know, right now I'm still able to get all the things that I need: toilet paper, food, anything else. Obviously, I'm not one of those that's stocking up on unnecessarily on items, but I already decided though, if it gets to a point that for whatever reason there's food or something that I can't get, or a certain food that I need that I can't get that's pretty common, or something else that we need, I'm just going to go around to my neighbors and I'm just going to start knocking and be like, look, I'll trade you for something else that I have, but we got to work as a community, because I think that's what this is all about. It's time to connect and to work together and share what we do have. And hopefully my neighbors will be kind enough to share whatever they have, because I definitely will be. If somebody comes to my door and needs something and I have more of it, I'm more than happy to give it to them.
Right. And I feel like that's just what makes everything happen, you know? It's the kindness of each other that we can spread joy to other people. So.
Yeah. But well, I don't know that I have much else to cover. It was pretty good. It was good to catch up with you, Jacob.
Yeah, great to see you.
Hopefully everybody else, hopefully you guys are still doing good and you enjoyed it. Hopefully this was informational. I
And
know I
entertaining.
definitely learned a lot. Yeah. Hopefully we found a little bit of entertainment. We're still adjusting to all of this. It's a little bit different for us, but I think the more we get used to this, hopefully the more entertainment we can provide through it.
Yep.
But yeah, well, until next time.
Great day.